to the bold analysis. The President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Arap Ruto, is telling the country that it was just a coincidence that the day he had planned to assent the controversial cybercrime bill amongst the other 8 bills is the day that the angel of death decided to take away Raila Odinga, and is telling the country that contrary to the public opinion, that it took advantage of Raila's death at that point to sign those bills because it will not attract attention, it was just a coincidence. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen to this podcast keenly, because I'll demonstrate to you that while the public is paying attention to the cybercrime bill, the $1 billion question is about another bill that was inside the 8 bills signed. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. And thank you very much for supporting this podcast. There is every reason for you to subscribe to this channel, because here you'll get in-depth analysis. And Team Kenya, silent viewers from Kenya, make sure you subscribe. I want to thank God that for the last 3 days, Team Kenya, subscriptions from Kenya zimekuwa mingi. So subscription is absolutely free. And the moment you subscribe to our channel, you'll be getting notifications. Without much ado, I want us to listen to the president's explanation.
Tunataka tulinde taifa letu la Kenya. You know? Saa zingine tunazembea, saa ile mambo imeharibika, tunatafuta mtu wa kulaumu. Tumesema ya kwamba maneno ya religious extremism, ile ambayo inatuletea hasara kama ile tulipata kule Shakahola, lazima tuzuie. Tumesema vile vile mambo ya vijana wetu wanaangaishwa, they are being terrorized kule kwa social media, na mambo machafu, mambo ya usherati, mambo ya pornography. Hiyo pia lazima tuzuie kama serikali. Wale wanaendesha hiyo biashara ya kuumiza vijana wetu, mpaka unakuta vijana wengi wanaenda commit suicide, wanajinyonga kwa sababu ya terrorism ile iko huko ndani ya mitandao. Lazima tuwazuie hawa watu. Vile vile wale wanatumia mitandao kuendesha ugaidi, we must also stand up to them and protect the nation. We must protect Kenya. You know, na tuseme ukweli. Unajua kuna watu wanatafuta kuchafua Kenya kwa mbinu zote. Rais alisign. Hii sheria ilikuweko. Amendment ilianza 2024. Amendment ilifanywa na bunge. Mimi niliamuka on Wednesday. Mimi nikiwa na kwa sababu hiyo ndio ilikuwa kazi yangu ya siku hiyo. Na ni kazi ya kikatiba ya kutia mkono sheria, kwa sababu ilikuwa imepita viwango vyote. Nikaletewa na speaker. Bahati mbaya tukapoteza waziri wetu mkuu wa zamani. Lakini tayari nilikuwa ofisini kwa hiyo kazi. Hata nilikuwa nimevaa shati, nilikuwa naenda Ukambani kwa mambo ya barabara. So I was on duty just like any other citizen. Hakuna kitu ya kuficha, hakuna kitu ya giza, hakuna kitu inafanywa usiku. we are doing the right thing for Kenya. We want to protect this nation from situations that undermine the well-being of the young people of our nation, the well-being of the people of Kenya, the security of the country, na yale mambo mengine ambayo yatatusaidia. Wale wanaosema waseme ukweli, wawachane na porojo, wawache misinformation, wawache disinformation. Let us speak what is right.
You know, I agree with the president that we need to protect our children from explicit content. That, to my end, is very important. Personally, I am not very comfortable with some, of course, some videos that you see in Facebook, some content you see in Facebook and TikTok, rather. But YouTube is very lean. The X-rated content is not available in YouTube. YouTube has tried to upscale their restrictions, and you easily lose the channel if you go against the community guidelines, even though the same applies to the other platforms. But the true spirit of that cybercrime, and of course, and also on the issue of religious extremism, the Shakahola incidences. Even though, in my own view, the Shakahola incidences is not a matter, cannot be addressed by the internet spying, but the social media spying. It is actually because that thing doesn't happen in social media. Truth be said, the teachings, the bad teachings that makes people to go angry until they die, the platform of Mackenzie was not social media, was not Facebook, was not YouTube. That can only be addressed by real-time intelligence, with high-profile intelligence. When we really look at the country from every corner of this country, we can address such matters. The true spirit of the cybercrime is looking at the online activism. And we might not be told, remember when he's saying it started from 2024. So I don't know really, maybe, when was this bill taken to Parliament? Because taken to State House, because it's not like if it's taken today, then it has to be signed today or tomorrow. But it came out after the mobilization that was done on the Gen Z protests. And when I look at that bill, it's supposed to address how it's supposed to disorient how the Gen Z protest was organized. But I do feel that much as we can crack down on the mobilization tool, but if the factors that motivated the country to raise their voice, if those factors are addressed, then the mobilization might not even become an issue. It might not cure all that. Now, but I feel this. I was listening to this explanation from there's a guy in TikTok here. Most of you a bit know this. He was actually explaining to the country about the privatization bill. And according to him, the country is made to look at the cybercrime because that is what is close to the Gen Z heart. But the real issue, or rather the real bill that the country must pay attention to, is the privatization bill. And this is his explanation.
Habari zenu wa Kenya. The privatization bill 2025, among the 8 bills that was passed by William Samoei Ruto, with the sole objective of offsetting and selling state corporations and entities whom according to William Ruto have been making losses over the years to state and private investors. One big red flag about this bill: the moment these organizations have been sold, you can only reverse the decision to sell them 8 years after the enactment into the Kenyan Gazette notice. Number 2, William Samoei Ruto and the Cabinet Secretary can approve the selling of these organizations without scrutiny, oversight, or approval from the National Assembly. Watu wa two-term hii ni yenu. Do you know the famous Rivertex, the textile company in Uasin Gishu, have already been leased on a 21-year deal to an organization called Arise Integrated Industrial Platform. This organization, I've checked on their board of members and management. There is no single Kenyan on that board. The head of this organization, or the company that is purchasing Rivertex, goes by the name Venkataramani Rivatsan, who is also a subsidiary director of an organization called Olam Group, which is owned by Temasek Holdings in Singapore, which again, the Temasek Holding is owned by the government of Singapore. So when William Samoei Ruto said we really want to make Kenya look like Singapore, maybe he was right. Number 2, watu wa Uasin Gishu, from hiring, recruitment, opportunities, budgeting, nobody is going to involve you in Rivertex. And mind you, your former gubernatorial candidate, Buzeki, supports this bill. And it is shocking. It was just the other day. He joined UDA in supporting the candidature of William Samoei Ruto in 2027. Hapo imewafikia. Number 2, I want to speak about the Kenya Pipeline Corporation. The Kenya Pipeline Corporation, according to their financial statement, they made a profit of 10 billion in the financial year 2023-2024 before tax. So I don't understand why we are selling these entities. I will go ahead. Watu wa two-term. All the pump stations in Mombasa, Kisumu, Maungu, Samburu, Manyani, Mtito Andei, Makindu, Sinendet, Nakuru, Sultan Ahmud, Konza, Embakasi, Moi Airport, Moi International Airport, Mombasa, Kipevu, Lanet, and Eldoret. All of it, you say goodbye to them. Because the government is intending to raise 100 billion from selling of Kenya Pipeline Company, Kenya Pipeline Corporation, with the aim of raising 100 billion and also giving out 65% ownership, only retaining 35%. Number 2, I want to speak about the Kenya Seed Company. The Kenya Seed Company is a very funny affair. Apparently, it's headed by a very close confidant of William Samoei Ruto, Honorable Purity Wangari Ngirishi. I think she vied for some seat in Kirinyaga. This company has a net deficit. It has a deficit, iko na madeni ya 143 million of its subsidiary in Uganda and only 40 million in the Kenyan Seed Company subsidiary in Rwanda, and the other 143 million in Uganda. Apparently, William Samoei Ruto can manage to furnish State House at the cost of 2-3 billion, but they cannot really bail out this organization. Nitawapeleka moja kwa moja vile DJ Afro amesema to the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Why are you selling a symbol of national heritage? Why are you selling something that Kenyans have been familiar with? If indeed we are meant to protect the national heritage and the symbol of this country, Kenyatta International Convention Center is not even something to debate about. The Kenyan government can comfortably fund and run that center. But I don't know the reason. Wakenya, nikimalizia, the deal, they are going to raise and sell these companies through initial public shares of offers. And they've said, the act shall not apply to sale of shares in secondary market, sale of shares by Social Security Fund and other entities from the government, sale or transfer of shares by a county government. So tell me, if a private investor is going to purchase, what is going to prevent our politicians from buying off these organizations and these entities? And they have said, through the initial public shares of offers, also to be undertaken as per the Capital Markets Authority Act, Cap 485A. You are going to check about this. So watu wa two-term, for those people who keep believing, for those people whom we've been telling you all these things, it is high time you open your eyes. If this bill is going to be passed.
And so that is why I say that where the country is paying attention to cybercrime, because it's easily relatable. people can easily identify with it. When somebody is saying we can delete your content, you're going to be jailed for, I don't know, you're going to be fined 20 million. Is it jailed for 10 years or 7 years or so? When that is happening, it really irritates the masses because it gets close to them. But the only problem why it was raised, why we actually raised it at that point, is it negates what really the country is talking about. When you look at how the bills are processed in Parliament, and I listened to this explanation from Otiende Amolo, it really tells you that it will leave you disturbed about the presence or the significance of Parliament in lawmaking. If laws are just passed casually that way, then what is the essence of that Parliament? And through the voice of ODM Vice Chairperson Tende Amolo. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think at this point, I've listened to the president saying the bill is protecting children. But I read some reaction from there saying the government protects children not by policing the internet, but by providing quality healthcare, quality education, jobs for parents, security, clean water, and good infrastructure. True protection also means curbing corruption and ensuring parents can provide for their families, not silencing citizens online. And the biggest threat to our children at the moment is the brazen security agencies who shoot carelessly. I was looking at this photo. This photo was taken in Kasarani on the day of Raila Odinga's public viewing. So this boy had been shot in the head, and his colleagues, his friends who were around there were now raising their voices. And when I see this is where the problem lies. In fact, I should, if someone can give me a paper, the debate, the conversation the country must really have is on how to manage dissent. And really, whether shooting is the thing, I don't. Is there an alternative? I believe a number of young people killed in the streets is probably more, and that one can even be avoided, is more than people who die out of suicide because of the things they're seeing in social media. In fact, I don't think people commit suicide because of social media pressure. And that bill cannot prevent that. What can bring pressure in social media? You're in your 40s, you are struggling life somewhere in some shanties, and your colleagues are doing better. You're seeing them rolling around with big machines. And so you become depressed. Like, that bill cannot stop that. Because that bill will not stop people from flossing around. There is this point of people committing suicide, and he peeps through the husband's phone or the wife's phone and find out someone is spying on the other. And through that, he gets wind of that, gets distressed and dies. That bill does not cure that. Because that bill cannot police how people conduct themselves or how people behave themselves. And anything that is packaged as protecting the children is actually protecting the interest. But the issue of the children is being dragged in it so that it can get approval. from our parents. When a parent sees that we are protecting our children from this and that. No, we are not protecting our children. We are actually protecting the nation. And not protecting the nation, we are protecting stability. Because we feel like we have a population that cannot be controlled. And this is the quagmire we find ourselves as a country. What is the plan? What is the state plan, especially when they were signing this bill? And what is bringing problem at the moment? Why the country is raising? You know, I've been seeing what is happening in your neighbor, Uganda and Kenya, and we are far much ahead of them. And it is because of the fact that the Railas, the Raila Odinga, the late Raila Odinga, and his team in the benches raised their voices. They were detained. They faced the regime seen as the oppressive at that moment. And the culture of raising our voice when something is wrong should not be silenced, because this country does not belong to us alone. Even MPs' children and grandchildren and families and friends live in this country. So if an MP sits somewhere to sign a bill thinking you are making the president happy, or you are patronizing the president, or you are patronizing Kenya Kwanza, you're making a betrayal on behalf of the country. And if you silence, today, you might not want to be challenged. And when someone is challenging, is saying, is profiling us, is against us, is this, is that. Tomorrow, you need someone to speak for you. And what has made Kenya be democratic is the fact that people raise their voices when things don't go right. Public interest in the cybercrime law deviates attention from the billion-dollar bills that were signed. And I'm seeing clearly, someone went and challenged the cybercrime, and High Court moved swiftly to stop its implementation. It's part of managing public expectation, and in fact, it's just trying to gauge the public expectation. But I can tell you, it is supposed to create a problem, a strain amongst the masses. So at an appropriate time, the bill can even be dropped. But remember, it was amongst the 8. Why do you think they signed 8 bills at the same time? But the country is only paying attention to one. Public participation gap is what is costing Kenya Kwanza administration. I've said this many times in this channel. There could be very good low-hanging fruits in some of these projects we are doing. There could be low-hanging fruits in even the SHA. And I saw recently, we were helping mzee. Tulikuwa tunamsaidia kufanya surgery Kenyatta. SHA paid some part of it. Quite a significant amount, part of the money that was needed. So we only had to cover around 200,000. And mzee is home in Kisii. I'm hoping I'll pay him a visit sometime. But I want to tell you that if it were not that it was us as the foundation that were on that matter, SHA would not have paid. If it were not that us, because us and the county and the team, we're going to ask, how much? Let me tell you what I realized. That SHA is supposed to pay full. It's supposed to pay full. But there's some departments that zikienda haitalipa yote, lazima ulipe ile lipo hii before mtu aende surgery. So if you don't have that information, it will not work for you. And there are a lot of psychological warfare there. Like, the site is not working, you wait. This is not working, you wait. I'm telling you, there is something called OTP. You can wait for that approval. Hey, the message too. President Ruto is sustaining friction with the masses throughout 2027. Some of these are good. You might have the good intention. But you must also look at the big goal in it. How is it going to be received amongst the people? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Let's look at the cabinet reshuffle mooted after Raila's death.